What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back with another episode of the Shop Podcast. Yes, we are back. We are live and back in the building, everybody. I know we missed last week, and I got some DMs, got some tweets about it, man. But I appreciate you guys. Had some things come up at the last minute, but I was not gonna leave you guys too long without no summer heat. No pun intended. I do live in AZ, but I was not gonna leave you guys without no content going forward. But man, we are back. And we're back in effect, man. Got the whole gang with me, man. I'm going to go ahead and start with the boy Stag, man. I know you're the last one that wanted to talk, but I'm going to start with you any damn way, man. Let everybody know what's going on with you, what you got cooked up, moving forward with the channel and everything, man.
Same old shit going on, just working on the stream. Currently trying to rebuild, had a little bit of a reset. So I'm, just got to rebuild my numbers and focus on content and get better and just do my thing. You can catch me on mixer.com/Stagger. Just streaming them indie titles. Really looking forward to playing a little bit of everything. I just started Gears 4 campaign again just for the fun of it. So, just living life and playing games, man.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it. No drama around here, man. We are definitely drama free, but I appreciate you taking some time every Saturday, man. You've been extremely consistent coming on the show, providing your different takes on everything going around. And once again, before I move on to anybody else here on the panel, if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, man. It does help the podcast be seen. We have the best show on the weekend, bar none. One-stop shop for all gamers, man. So appreciate you guys coming out. But let's go ahead and move on to the boy Centurion. Let us know what's going on with you, man. The newest member of the Shop Podcast, if you're not informed about that. But let everybody know what you got going on with the channel and going forward.
Well, I just released a Gears hype video to kind of clear up any myths and misconceptions that people got going on. It also informs you about the two new modes that they brought out, the escape mode and the arcade mode. But other than that, I've just been going hard on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, trying to finally beat this game. I'm level 59 out of 70, and I've only probably beat half the game.
Nice, cool. Well, shit, let's go ahead and get it, man, for sure. We appreciate you coming on every single weekend, man. Centurion, if you don't know about him, man, I'll make sure his channel link is in the description below. Please go subscribe, go follow him. He is building up the channel, man. This guy's going to be another YouTube star, man. He's the next best thing. If you want, accurate information, if you want fun news, that's the one-stop shop to find it. And last but not least, the guy who I do not need to do a fucking introduction anymore for, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. Matter of fact, Mr. 6 o'clock is going to be his name from now going forward. Well, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on with you, man? Let everybody know what's going on and what you got cooked up.
Hey, Fuzzy Belvedere here. I've been kind of playing a lot of random games on Xbox. Been playing a little bit of Division 2, and my son wanted me to play UFC and do career mode, so I kind of burned through that and got some achievement points for that. So, but nice. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about some games. Glad to be here with the crew. Man, there's been so much going on Twitter and gaming news in general. It's great to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. So once again, guys, I am fucking like busting at the seams here. I did not get a chance. We did not do a podcast last week. So we got a lot to talk about this week, man. So let's go ahead and just dive in. We're going to go ahead and just start with the poll of the week, guys. If you did not know or you were not informed, every single Monday I put out a poll of the week on Twitter. So if you're not following me for the poll of the week, please go to Twitter. All of that information is in the link in the description below. Go ahead and follow everybody, by the way. The entire panel's down there as well. Shout out, by the way, to Jarhead. Shout out to Soccerman, other official members of the podcast. They always watching, always helping out. So we appreciate what they do. But moving forward here, I do not a podcast, but an actual poll of the week, and every single Monday. So go ahead and vote on that. We talk about it here on the show on Saturday. So this week's poll of the week was actually kind of a fun one. So I said, which option is worse and why? We got, as far as going forward, as far as like games, which AI option, not AI option, but which game feature is worse and why? So I had repetitive missions, broken loot system, and bad enemy AI as those options. So which one of those for you as a gamer individually would be the worst out of those three options? And we had a few people vote. Let me go ahead and let you guys know who won. So repetitive missions won at 38%. Broken loot systems was second at 34%, and bad enemy AI was actually third at 29%. So that's actually how I thought it would go. I thought it would be a little bit more lopsided with the broken loot system. So because honestly, that's the biggest thing for me due to the type of games I actually play. But we're gonna go ahead and go around the panel. What'd you guys think about the poll? We're gonna start with you, Stag. What'd you vote on, or why'd you choose your option?
I didn't vote. I keep forgetting to go on these poll of the weeks. But if I would have voted, like I don't really care about clunky AI. I mean, that's going to happen here and there, but it doesn't really ruin the game for me most of the time. Broken loot systems. I mean, I am tired of like, you run a mission, you get the same shit over and over again, i.e. Destiny 2 or, Gears loot boxes or Madden Ultimate card packs. You just keep getting the same shit. But for me, it really came down to repetitive missions. That's what I would have voted for. I think I dislike it more than anything else is just doing the same kind of boring missions over and over again. Go grab this thing or, protect this person, and they just rehash it over and over again. And sometimes it just feels like a dev either got bored, lacks imagination, or just they didn't care about the experience of the game, or ultimately it came down to like the publisher coming to them and being like, finish this fucking game, and I don't want to do the same stuff over and over and over again in a game. I mean, just give me something different, or extend those missions and make them even longer, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of where I stand on it. Repetitive missions is where I would have voted, and I think they need to bring in some more creativity so we don't have that.
Okay. No, I agree. Repetitive missions is pretty bad. Although I am kind of used to that whole grindy thing. If you give me, most people I think will probably agree with, if you give me just enough to do or feel like I'm being rewarded, I know it's kind of dangling the carrot at the end of the day, but hey, I mean, shit, I do want to feel like I'm doing this for something if I'm going to go through this grind. So if you reward me, I can kind of deal with doing repetitive shit, because right now I've been playing a lot of Division 2, and a lot of the stuff we do is the same, but they're adding a lot of content as well. Coming this up Tuesday, there's another update, but if I feel like I'm making progress towards something, I can deal with the grind. I can deal with the repetitive. So
and those are difficult too. Like it's not like, oh, go do this easy mission 17 times. It's like that shit's hard on Destiny. I'm not Destiny. The game you just said that my brain's farting on right now.
Oh, Division.
Division, thank you. It's a D word, But yeah, like at least those are hard, and like you never know where people are going to come from. Like what my thing is these missions that are like exactly what's going to happen the whole way through it. So.
Okay. No. Once again, I mean that's something that it wouldn't have been my first option, but definitely that probably would have been my second one, because I understand. Like I was a Destiny 1 player. And the first 6 months, that shit was like the Sahara Desert. It was just dry. Once people decided, look, this is all I'm going to do for this little bit of shit, and then they took that whole loot cave away, because that was kind of keeping people around. They were just farming the loot cave until they fixed it. But I understand. So people jumped ship. People eventually came back kind of when they got more content. So I agree there. So let's go ahead and bounce this over to you, Fuzz. What would have been your option out of the three? Once again, chat, it's not only is a question for us, it's a question for you too, chat. So let me know. Keep that chat going. Keep it live. If you're filing in here, say hello in the chat as well as hit that like button. But Fuzzy, which one of those options did you choose, man?
I voted Broken Loot System. Anthem.
Oh, God.
No, but in all seriousness, I can deal with, repetitive missions, because I'll try different things. Like with Division 1, for example, there were missions that me and a few other people that were on like the SHD Facebook group, we would run through it as fast as we could. And we got it down to like some of the missions were like under 4 minutes. It's like on hard or challenging difficulty. So you find a different way to kind of get through those, or instead of using the LMG or SMG, just use your pistol and try to see how far you can make it.
Yeah.
When it comes to bad AI, I mean, there's games where it's bad AI all around. Like even the first Division, the AI was nowhere near as good as it is now. Yeah. But you would try to see how far you could, how many of them you can blow up, or how many of them you can trap in a corner and set on fire, or something to that effect. But if the loot system is broken, there's no real reward to play. There's no real sense of advancement or continuation. So that way it's like, oh, I'll go through this and get some better gear and then try things differently and hopefully do more damage or be able to do harder missions and stuff. But once that loot system is broken, it's like, why even bother type of thing. I wish the devs for BioWare were listening, but it just seems like they're
that's a hard pill to swallow for me, man. Jesus.
Well, they're supposed to be doing the Cataclysm now, and a few people have reported some bugs where they're seeing things like fall out of the sky or something like that.
Oh
So,
my lord.
but if they had made the loot system at least somewhat rewarding, like Shansu does the missions, he was like a legendary, like 770 or something like that, and it's like everything is coming up purple. It's like, yeah, he's helping us. It's great, and we're getting better loot, but it's not helping him any. So
we were at the point where we weren't getting anything better.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where if you're not going to have it where at least the people that are participating feel like their time is appreciated, they're eventually going to step away and move on to other games that are, more rewarding, whether it be, visceral fun by just blowing stuff up or whatever the case is. But yeah, that's broken loot system is the main thing that'll make me leave within a hot minute. So
yeah, and I think so. Would you agree that kind of we play a lot of these Destiny type games where loot is everything in those specific type of games, the Borderlands, the Destinies, the Divisions, Anthems, they loot's everything. So that wouldn't. Well, now I guess you could say it does kind of cross everything because there's tons of loot in Madden and all these other types of games, sports games, and you get the Call of Duties. So there are other games as well. The Battle Royale. There are games that have loot system there. So I guess that would kind of cover everything. Although it's more prominent in a loot based game like a looter shooter. It makes more sense. But I agree. I think for me, the type of games that implement that's the biggest thing you could do. That's the easiest way to kill a franchise. To me, as far as like just having not necessarily a bad loot system, but just if it's a looter shooter, you can't have a bad loot system. Like you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's crazy. But Centurion, let's go ahead and bounce this over to you, my G. What do you think, man, about those options? Which one did you pick and why?
Well, sorry, I'm gonna go with a broken loot system. Yeah, repetitive games kind of can get annoying, but if anybody played Rage 2, that game was extremely repetitive, but the game loop of it was so much fun that you just kept doing it over and over and over again. So there was actually something rewarding about doing it. And then AI, oh, come on. Bad AI could sometimes give you a good laugh. The other day I was surfing on Google, and they had actually released an article on one of the big gaming media websites about an incident in Red Dead Redemption 2 where somebody literally killed half the town with one bullet. And what happened was they had a star rating, so they were wanted, and they were hiding inside one of the shops. As one of the guys came through the door, he shot him with an incendiary round. And he caught on fire, and for some reason all the other guys that were chasing him were coming in one by one, getting into the fire and dying, coming into the fire and dying. I watched this whole video, and literally this dude took out 20-30 people with one bullet, and I was laughing the whole damn time. So I'm with the loot system, let's look at what Anthem every time, remember when they actually broke the loot system in Anthem in a good way, and people were getting legendary drops and all this other stuff.
Oh, the game was so bad. All right, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, everybody and their grandmother was like, "No, leave it. You're making the game fun now." And what did they do? They brought it back down. They were like, "Sorry, we turned the loot system up on accident." But because you guys brought up Anthem, I wanted to ask, did you guys see the article about how they accidentally released some of the content that's going to happen after the Cataclysm?
Yeah.
Temporarily, about how there's space stations and there was tentacles coming out. That's why you're seeing stuff coming out of the sky. I guess it has something to do with what they're building after the Cataclysm. And the whole article was, how do you accidentally turn on what you're building?
They cannot catch a break. It's literally like primates over there running the show. I don't know who the fuck is in charge, but it's clearly not a human being, because there's no way you can make those mistakes over and over again with the franchise. I mean, Anthem has the skeleton of a game of the year. The skeleton of Anthem is definitely a game of the year. You give that skeleton to anybody else, give that bitch to Ubi, they make something out of it. That would be a game of the year. Oh my God, dude. It's ridiculous. But go ahead, man. Finish.
I was going to say, you just see some developer accidentally spilling a soda on the game board, on the keyboard, and something turns on in the game that they got to fix now.
Ridiculous.
But I love Anthem, man. I hear you guys play it, so if you ever want to play, I'm definitely down. I love Anthem.
We played past tense. Played. We played it.
I barely played it. It's just sitting there.
Yeah, I want it to be good so bad, and it may be it may pull a Rainbow Six or something like that, where first 3-4 months is trolls. At this point, 6-7 months is trash, and then it somehow catches on. I'm not sure, but I hope it fucking rises from like the Phoenix or something from the ashes, because I want the game so bad. Remember how much I talked that game up, Stag? You guys remember how much I talked the game up, Fuzz?
Yeah.
I talked that game up like this was what's gonna take up my time for 2019, until Gears comes out. And I thought this was going to be my year-round game. I was going to kind of replace Destiny. Was I so wrong? And I take the egg right to the face on that one. So
Hey, did I ever tell you about what happened to my brother's Legion of Dawn edition?
No.
My brother, you see, it came out in February. My birthday's in February, so my brother bought himself a copy and me a copy of the Legion of Dawn edition. So that was $160 out of his pocket at $80 a pop. He gave me my edition. He bought him digitally. I got my Legion of Dawn armor, the skin. His is glitched. He can't get the skin. And it's been glitched since day one, and they still have not patched it.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. We could talk about that game all day. That's a whole nother podcast. We really could do a whole show on that damn thing for real. But let's go ahead and keep moving on. And the next topic, once again, chat, all of these topics are for you. Thanks, everybody, for filing in. If you have not already, please smash the like button. Helps the podcast be seen. We appreciate you guys' participation. The chat is going, man. I appreciate everybody. Just quick shout outs. Jago, I saw a new Stagger lurking in that bitch. Shisno,
myself.
Shonsu, John Mark just popped in. Everybody, I know I missed a ton of you guys. My mod of the year, Shonsu, Zinc, if you're hanging out, lurking in here. Everybody, man, retweet the link. Bring everybody in here. This is the best show on the weekend. This is what you're going to get, man. For gaming. This is it right here every Saturday. So let's go ahead and move on. This next topic I actually specifically put here for Stag. I thought of him. I'm like, you know what? Let's highlight some indies, man. So I wanted to talk about, obviously, Cuphead, first of all, getting like its own Netflix special or Netflix movie, I think, or show, one of the two. And then I wanted to talk about just the rise of indies this generation. Essentially, I want to talk about the fact that we've gotten so many quality indie games this generation, and I think there's been more quality indies. They've far outdone to me as far as consistency, like AAA games. Like, you got so many great indies. And Stag, I'm gonna let you talk to this first because you play indies a ton, and I know you can speak to the quality even more than I can. So what do you think about, first of all, a game like Cuphead kind of breaking the barrier of an indie becoming this larger title, kind of creating a bigger universe? And then what do you think about just the quality of the indies this generation?
All right. Well, first of all, I'll just get it out of the way. Cuphead's never been my cup of tea. I think it's great for people who love it. I love the art style of it. It's ridiculously hard, and I just couldn't do it. But I do respect the fucking game, the art style, the work that the devs put into it. I didn't even know they had the whole Netflix thing.
Yeah.
Show. News to me. But I appreciate like the game itself, the devs, and like the dedication that the gamers who love that game have put into it, and like trying to beat that damn thing, because it's hard, man. Like, it's legitimately probably one of the harder games that's come out in I don't even know how many years, just based on what I've heard and seen, because I've watched people play it, and it's just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But indie games, man, I fucking love them. And like, really, I could spend an hour alone talking about just how much I love indie titles, the different ones. But like, I used to be one of those people that played AAA titles exclusively, first-person shooters, pretty much. I joined a Gamers Core competition in like 2017, and I pretty much had to play everything under the sun to get Gamers Core, and I just realized that was what opened me up to more indie titles, because I had to play them. There was just no other option. Like, to get points, I had to play these games, and it was just like, at first it was like a slog, and I was like, what the hell? And then I started finding really, really good games and really interesting worlds. I mean, granted, the graphics weren't always the best, the gameplay wasn't always the most awesome, but there is a ton of them out there where it's just like, holy shit, why aren't more people playing this? Especially for the prices a lot of those indie games come in at.
Yeah.
Like $5 to $20, $30 ish, something like that, But I just feel like they're not getting enough attention, or people don't realize they're playing an indie title a lot of the time. Like I'll tell people the Sniper Elite series is an ID at Xbox game, and they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, go look it up. You
Yeah,
know,
it's crazy. The quality
City
is crazy.
Skylines is like the graphics on that game is insanely good, and there's so much depth to that game. It's an indie title, you know, and then you've got other ones that are obvious indie titles like Farm Together, Conarium, and like so. Take Flying Tigers, Shadows over China. It's a freaking great game, and it was made by one guy, one
Yeah.
freaking guy.
We were
you know?
just talking about Tunic. Remember that as well? That's
Oh,
supposed to be coming out.
Like, and then you got all those Artifacts Mundi games and stuff. They're not my cup
Yeah.
of tea, but people love those point and click games. I mean, so as much as there's a lot of really good ones, there's also on the flip side of that, there seems like there's a lot of indie titles that were created for gamer score
Cash
wallets, you know, and hunters and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which is fine. You know, I'm guilty of going for them as well. You give me a 0 to 1 hour completion for $5 and I'm probably going to pick it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love indie titles and I wish more people would give them a chance. Like, I mean, it's like back on my point of what games are. I mean, technically The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk are indie titles because those are independent developers. They just have a shit ton of money and resources.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not all indie companies can make AAA games, but these people that are constantly ignoring a game because it has the word indie attached to it need to really stop and expand their gaming horizons and their view on what makes a game good. I really feel like Xbox seems super committed to these devs and helping push more indie titles into people's scope of gaming.
Yeah.
Putting more of them into Game Pass going forward helps people get, you know, exposed to these games, because like a lot of people won't play them. I'm not spending my money on that, but oh shit, it's in Game Pass. Oh my god, it was a really good game, and they're going to go ahead and tell their friends, and then maybe their friends will play it, you know, and then that dev gets more people playing their game, which makes it so they can make more games in the future.
Yeah. Nice. You know what? And that's why I wanted to start with you, because I wanted to highlight, and I know somebody who plays these indie games consistently. Shout out to my boy John Lester. He's actually the editor over there at XBLA Fans. He plays a lot of indies as well. He's been on the podcast, so shout out to him. If you ever watch this, John, appreciate you, man. He's a big indie fan as well. Kind of reminds me of Stag, how passionate they are about indies. But for me, my personal experience is a lot of these games. I mean, look at the quality in some of these games. Like he was saying, go look at Tunic, man. That game was made by one dude, one person, just like he was talking about this other game. Game looks amazing. It has Zelda vibes all over it. Now,
you and I were watching a video on that.
Yeah,
recently.
we just watched a video on it recently. We were just sitting there talking, and we watched the full video of it because I wanted to see where it was at. And the game looked amazing. I mean, it's not Zelda. You know, you're not going to get that kind of massive size budget, but it definitely gives off Zelda vibes, and I'm all for Zelda. You guys know that's my all-time favorite game, Zelda Ocarina of Time. So there's a lot of indies. I think a lot of people are missing out. You know, you see indie and it's kind of a negative connotation, but I think Xbox in particular has done a phenomenal job with highlighting these indie games. And look at, you see some of these studios making a big jump. Ori is, I mean, that could be a damn Disney franchise.
There's so many things I didn't even hit on. Like,
I mean,
that,
come on now. We're just the tip of the iceberg here, people. So what he's saying is give these games a chance, man. Definitely give these games an opportunity. These game sales, you can get so much time out of these games. And some are cash grabs. Some are like for just indie hunters. I mean, you download the game, you get 500 gamer score. You know, it's ridiculous.
Wait, which one's that?
Yeah, I know, right? How much is it? So either way, let me go ahead and bounce this over to you, Fuzz, because I know we've talked on and off about indies on this show particularly. I like to always give them and highlight them every time I can get a chance, or every time I feel like there's something I need to talk about, because I don't think a lot of people do enough for indies. They don't talk about them enough, you know? So we're going to go ahead and go over to you, Fuzz. What do you think about it? First of all, Cuphead kind of breaking down that barrier coming from an indie studio. I think it was two guys that founded Cuphead, Video NBHR, to Weird How has a Netflix. It kind of have a cult following now, where you see it on T-shirts, merchandise, things like that, as far as the overall quality of the indies this generation.
I've always felt from day one of seeing Cuphead that it would be kind of along the lines of like a Mario-esque franchise that you can take beyond just that one game and have a series of games, or, you know, other side type games like a kart racing game and stuff like that. And the fact that it looked like an old time cartoon, and now they're going to actually have a cartoon series, it's almost like a perfect fit. So that's one of those that's like that kind of exception to the rule or breakout type of deal. Yes, it is hard as all get out. It is frustrating, like controller breaking frustrating, but it is still one of those games that it's like that diamond in the rough type of deal. But like my this generation, at least, my first exposure to indie, believe it or not, was on the PS4 with Resogun. And now it's and then considering like there was only I think at launch it was only a handful of PS4 games available other than like multiplats.
Yeah, there was a bunch of multiplats.
It was like Resogun was like that diamond in the rough where it's like, oh, this kind of reminds me of my elementary school days of playing in the arcade. What was it, Tempest or something like that?
Yeah,
kind of a space game, but a totally different perspective. But it was along those lines. It was a nice indie game that I spent a lot of hours playing. My first exposure on the Xbox was between Cuphead and City Skylines because I've always wanted a SimCity game. Yes, it plays better on like a PC with keyboard and mouse, but if you can get something to work like that on a console and have it look fairly decent, and then they did the X1X enhancement on it, I'm sold. So I've been playing a bunch of that. Survival from Mars. There's a bunch of other ones. Like I'm looking at my list now, like
there's a ton.
Arrow, which is kind of like Tempest in a way, but with music and following that line around the screen and stuff. So there's so many games that people probably push aside just because it's an indie, it's not a AAA. I've probably had more fun or more games I've had fun with that were not AAA, that are these indie games, than some of the AAAs. Because I'll be honest, Battlefront and Battlefront 2, I mean, they look great, but they have their issues where you lose interest. Even as a Star Wars fan, you lose interest after a while, especially if they're going to matchmake you with people that have spent a whole bunch on, getting all the unlocks and things like that.
Yeah.
So I would say this generation has probably been the best as far as indies in comparison, where they have a platform, they have at least access to better engines to use. Because Unity isn't the greatest engine, but Unreal 4 engine, which a lot of them use in a lot of their platforms, is a lot easier to work with. Epic seems to like to work with a lot of the indies, and it's like, oh well, especially if they're going to list it on their store, the cost for using the engine and then mass selling it is a lot less. So it's been nice seeing a lot of these independent titles. Conan Exiles, which is an indie. Let's see what other ones I got on here. And yeah, CD Projekt Red is an indie developer, and they're one of those exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, they're kind of an outlier.
Financing and stuff, but I mean, in all honesty, PUBG, that was an indie. I mean, and yes, it plays kind of rough on console unless you have an X1X, but it's still a fun game. It's not as much fun as it would have been if it would have been a AAA, like let's say a Ghost Recon, where the graphics and the gameplay are a little bit smoother all the time, no matter how many things are on screen. But unfortunately, Ghost Recon never did a 1 versus 100 type of deal out of it. But I mean, there's so many games that I have enjoyed, and like one of my big ones that I play a lot is NASCAR, which yes, it's Unity engine, and I hate that it's Unity engine, but I'm not a programmer, I'm not a dev. I wish I was, so I could help them switch over to Unreal 4, but it's still as fun as what I would want out of a racing game, especially one for stock cars. So nice. I'm pretty happy with what I've seen so far. And there's a few of them I'm still waiting on, like actually one that they just showed at E3, that 12-minute one in the room.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that one looks great.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then the last night, which they showed last year.
Night. Oh, we don't know what's going on with that dev, man. I'm not sure.
Dude, one point I wanted to make is I'm on True Achievements a lot, but there's 15 pages of ID at Xbox games on that. You know what I mean? Like 15 pages, and there's at least 50 games on each page.
Yeah. So
it's
ridiculous. Yeah. So let's go ahead and bounce this over to Centurion, man. So what do you think about just? I talked about Cuphead specifically, as far as how it's kind of breaking that barrier. There's other games that have broken that barrier. We talked about, PUBG, other games that are huge now that come from that indie space. Obviously, CD Projekt Red is kind of the outlier there. It's not a typical situation. But what is your experience this generation with indie so far?
Well, for starters, I don't have the patience for Cuphead. I've watched a lot of videos on it. I juggled it around in my head, and I decided that I'm not going to get into that because I have this mentality of once I start something, I got to finish it, and I'm not sure if I can. But speaking of the creators of Cuphead, Studio MDHR, you were talking about how it was 2 guys. It's actually 2 brothers and their wives. And these guys felt so much passion about what they were creating that they actually put their house on the line to create this game. They actually financed, they mortgaged their house to create this game. So that's kind of like a roll of the dice, man. And, with indie games, that's what I'm trying to get at is you're getting passion put into some of these games. It's not about the money. It's not about this, that, and the other. It's about the passion that they have for the product that they're creating. And yeah, you don't see that in some games today. Matter of fact, Battlefront, like how it's a great game to look at, but you definitely can't see that passion there because it felt like more of a money grab using the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
But I remember my first ever encounter with an indie title was with The Cave back in the day on the PlayStation 3. I actually really enjoyed that game.
Nice.
And I would have to say that this generation has really been for the indie developers because I read an article last week talking about, how there's this big old thing going on with Game Pass and on, our people making, our developers making money on it. And a lot of these indie developers have come out and said that they love Game Pass because of the fact that it has essentially opened the doors to the console space for guys that normally couldn't get on there and were just restricted to PC just because it was, everything's on PC. So yeah, definitely there's a lot out there to help indie developers get their name out there. And like Fuzzy said, yeah, that one game, 12 minutes, that game actually looks kind of intriguing. As a matter of fact, Conan Exiles is in my backlog. And if I'm correct, didn't Minecraft start off as an indie before Xbox bought them?
Yeah. Mojang, it wasn't really that big of a studio. It was like their first, I think, title or something like that.
Oh,
so
Minecraft?
yeah.
So that's why you could see the potential that obviously Minecraft, Cuphead, even CD Projekt Red, those are like hitting the jackpot in the indie world. But definitely there's a lot of great indie titles out there. I've thought about getting some of them here and there, but I do work so much that I have a backlog a mile long.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you on that. So, yeah, that was a great conversation about indies, man. We definitely, once again on the show, we do appreciate them. There's a lot of indies that I've played over the years as well, and I think this is definitely almost like a renaissance. And one thing I want to emphasize before we move on to the next topic with indies is that I do appreciate the fact that they're able to take chances that these other studios wouldn't take. They're able to make the kind of games that they want to make as preferred to what the quota has to fit, like what has to fit the quota essentially. So I do appreciate that. We get a lot of the influence. You see it in these larger games, but sometimes you don't see it because you never played these smaller indies. You're like, damn, I've seen that mechanic somewhere before. Oh shit, some other game that's not, that's attempted size did something similar, and they may have saw that and took that and moved it to a larger game. So I appreciate the fact that the indie space is really, really healthy right now on everything, all platforms. So let's go ahead and move forward, man. Once again, thank you, chat, for being here, being live, showing up, showing out for another fantastic, good-ass podcast, one of the best ones on the weekends, man. So let's keep moving. So I kind of revised the topic list this week. Me and Stag were kind of talking about it pre-game here. So I'm going to throw this in right now because I feel like we're going to take the most time with this, and I definitely want to get into some Gears 5 shit, okay? Because I'm definitely, that was one of the big things I threw around in my head. But we definitely talking Gears. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the Gears 5 tech test. Now, I know it kind of started a little bit rough. A lot of people complaining about long wait times or not being able to get in at all. It seems that's kind of subsided to a point. Here, still see some reports here. Now, obviously, it's a tech test. I'm just coming from the standpoint, what the fuck do you guys think was going to happen? That's what they run these tests for. So that way, when the game ships, we don't have these problems unless you want another Destiny situation or some of these other games that have done it the wrong way in the past. So to me, that wasn't a big deal. It seems to be that they've worked out a lot of those issues. So anybody who's played the tech test, let me know what you think about it in the chat, as well as on the panel here. We're going to start with you, Stag. I know you said you kind of got into it, not too much, but what was your initial impressions on the tech test when you played?
Obviously you start with the boot camp, which, whatever. Like, I know how to play Gears. I guess, it's good for people that don't, but it was kind of cool just to do that little thing real quick. And I played one arcade match, and man, it felt like amazingly fluid, clean. The graphics were great. The one thing I really didn't like about it was the heavy weapons in the arcade match. I kind of like it more when it's, I mean, I don't mind like the heavier guns, but like having the missile salvo in there was just kind of felt really cheap. But man, it was bloody. It was fucking fantastic. And I'm probably going to play more of it tonight. Like it was great. Like I'm not a huge multiplayer guy. Like I really, on the older Gears, I played a lot of Guardian, a lot of Horde, and those were my favorite things to do. But man, it looks so good and it plays so well. Even only one match, it was just like this is. I mean, for a technical test, I mean, we had a beta or whatever with previous games like Anthem, but this just it plays so freaking well right now. It's great.
Nice. And that's one of the one things that I saw. I haven't played this yet, everybody. I will definitely do it after the show. We're definitely doing that tonight. I'm going to get at least hopefully a couple games in, depending on how long the wait is. But I've heard a couple universal things about the game. One being the fact that it runs amazingly. It's 60 frames, so it just moves faster, it looks faster, the movements are crisper. I heard that just the way the characters move is a lot better as well. You don't feel so clunky. That was the one big issue I had with Gears multiplayer specifically, and why I was never good at it. I mean, I was used to fast twitch Call of Duty type shit. So when it was kind of clunky, the cover was kind of sticky, and I'm like, I don't really like this. I'd get destroyed, man, destroyed. So, and that wasn't very fun either. But I never really. Maybe I should have just stuck with it. I'm sure there was a curve, and if I probably could have figured the curve out and got a lot better. But I just was doing so bad I didn't even take the time. So that was one of the biggest things for me that they talked about was an improvement. I heard graphically it's amazing as well. I heard it looks phenomenal, and I mean this is even the full game. So I'm sure. I think you already confirmed that for me, Stag. But let's go ahead and bounce this over to you, Centurion. I know you said you played a little bit as well. What do you think about the tech test so far?
I'm enjoying it. One thing Stag pointed out to me, but also didn't point out in talking about boot camp is I think we needed to know that they moved the chainsaw button.
Yeah, they did.
That's the big thing that I remember holding down B. I'm like, why is it not chainsawing?
You can change it, but still, it's disorienting to like press right bump and your right trigger to do all that action. But
anyways, I'm enjoying. It's all good, man. I'm enjoying it. I hopped right in. I took MVP on my third round, but that's just because I love Gears. So it was almost like riding a bicycle. Once you've done it, you'll never forget. But yeah, definitely. I will say I enjoyed having the heavy weapon because I remember at one time I spent some skulls and all of a sudden I'm standing there with the chain gun just mowing dudes down. So yeah, definitely the heavy weapons can sometimes make it very unbalanced. I wonder if they'll actually kind of nerf that. I wonder if they just have it to where you can get all these weapons right now, just because it's a tech test. I didn't have any issues. There was almost, regretfully, I was on in the early mornings, the early hours of the morning. So there was actually not too many people on. We had a lot of drones on our team. And that's the cool part about it that I thought that was cool is that the drones actually did feel like that they were doing a good job. The AI was there. I had drones actually, dropping me. So it's not like they were just running around just as filler. They were actually doing a job.
Nice.
But yeah, the graphics are there. They look clean. Just to point it out, everybody talks about God of War, and I remember playing God of War. Like when Kratos was walking around, he had like cloth and stuff hanging off of him that would flutter in the wind, and it would look cool. Well, you know what? They did that in Gears. There's now pieces of cloth that are hanging off these characters. I'm playing on an Xbox One X on a 60-inch 4K television, and I mean, like the detail on these characters and the motion of the stuff that's actually attached to them. They got cloth hanging off their gun belts. They've got lights all over their armor. It looks really clean, and I was definitely very well impressed compared to Gears 4. I'm definitely happy with what they're doing. I had a ton of fun.
Okay. Cool. You know what? That's one thing I've heard universally. The two things, graphics as far as and fluidity as far as movement. So I'm really excited for those two things. We'll piggyback off this in a second, but I'm gonna go ahead and move over to Fuzz. So Fuzz, I don't think you've gotten a chance to play it, but
I got it running in the background right now.
Oh, shit.
Amazing.
I didn't know better. This Forza playing. No, I'm just kidding.
I ain't playing. I'm not playing.
No, but so yeah, Fuzz. I mean, first of all, before you played it, what was your, I won't say initial impression, but what were you hearing about it? And then now that you're actually getting a chance to experience it, what's your initial impression?
I would say for everybody that was worried about not seeing campaign and stuff like that, just calm down.
We
Enjoy.
ain't to that yet.
enjoy
We haven't got to that. We're gonna start. We're gonna
Keep
do that.
jumping subjects.
Jumping subject.
Well, I would say for from a graphic standpoint, from a movement standpoint, this definitely feels a lot more fluid for me. I'm guilty as well as I suck at the multiplayer on this game. Like I'm so used to cover movement in the Division, it did feel clunky for me, which a lot of people used to give me crap for. It's like, oh yeah, you just need to play it more. Yeah, I probably should play it more, but I was hooked on the Division for so long. It's like, okay, it feels a little clunkier, but now a lot of that's gone. Like I can do the jump rolls, move from cover to cover, and it doesn't give that clunky feel like it did. Although, hey, this is a tech test; things could change. But from compared to what 4 was compared to this, I'm pretty damn happy.
Nice. Okay, I'm the only person here that ain't got a chance to play it yet. So once again, this is definitely coming on the system tonight. I'm definitely gonna hopefully get into a match or two to just get some time with it and see what everybody's been talking about. Because Gears definitely is on my must-buy list. I don't miss Gears, so I don't miss Gears. So
Server room.
yeah. So what do you say?
Hopefully they feed the hamsters in the server room.
I know, right? They better give me some Red Bull tonight, baby, because we need that thing to be up and running for sure. So now let's move on, Fuzz. Jumping the gun over there. I'm just playing. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to piggyback off that specific topic. Now there was a lot of concerns. Now we haven't seen any actual gameplay from the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how has this tech test influenced that? Now, for me, we've talked about this in the Shop Podcast DMs on Twitter. I think we're universal where I don't think any of us really had an issue or were worried. Because Gears has never dropped the ball, in my opinion. Now, you can say what you want about Judgment. It is what it is. But Gears, to me, has never really dropped the ball. There's never really been. I mean, there's things here and there that people didn't like, but for the most part, it's an extremely consistent franchise. And it's always given me what I wanted and what I needed from a Gears fan myself. So let's go ahead and just start with you, Fuzzy. Since you spilled the bean, I was playing. Since you kind of brought it up anyway, what do you think, man? Did it change anything for you, or were you not worried anyway?
I wasn't really worried anyway. I mean, for the most part, I expected to have an engaging story. I know they've heard the fans say as far as they want a more mature story. They want more involvement as far as they want more co-op. They want a lot more things, and it seems like they were willing to listen and give us, or at least work on those things. It's hard to see until the game is actually launched, but I can't imagine them seeing all the social media, seeing all the feedback on forums and things like that, where they're just going to say, oh, well, we're going to go our own direction on the story and completely ignore everything everybody's been asking for. I wasn't worried for it. Looking at it from a graphic standpoint, for all those that are like, oh, well, Xbox do something that looks amazing. Yeah, this is it. This is it until Halo Infinite comes out. But I'm pretty darn happy with what I see so far, and I think even though I'm not one for spoilers on stories, so if I see like a 5 or 15-second thing of gameplay, that's great. But I don't really want to see like the cutscene stuff that's going to spoil it. So it's like, oh yeah, well that's what that picture was for, or that's what that scene was for from the commercial. So
yeah,
I'd rather go into it fresh, fresh eyes, other than knowing that okay, we're going to have similar weapons or some upgrades for weapons and things, and that's good enough. And then I'll figure out the story as I play through it on that launch night. So it is what it is.
Okay. Well, once again, we've talked about this pregame. We talked about this last week, probably the week before, when this whole kind of wave started on Twitter and everybody kind of panicking. And you've seen, not everybody, because I don't want to give everybody that kind of clout, but there was a few people kind of, worried, and it kind of was kind of going around. But either way, nevertheless, we can go ahead and move on to you, Stag. Once again, we've talked about this, and I know you're a huge Gears fan, just like ourselves. Most of us here on the panel and in the chat as well. So what did this do for you as far as campaign? I mean, I know you weren't worried, so you're probably not going to take that into play, but how was being able to play some of the multiplayer, kind of influence maybe some things that you thought we were going to see in the campaign?
I don't feel like it has influenced my opinion of the campaign, or even really, I mean, other than the boot camp, it's freaking multiplayer, So I'm not worried about it. I don't care. I'm just waiting for it. I just want to play it. It's going to be amazing because all of them have been great. I mean, like
Yeah.
Like when Gears 1 first dropped, that over-the-shoulder third-person roadie run shit was like, what the fuck is
It
this?
was crazy. It was
We
insane.
all had to get used to it, and once we did, and if you did or you didn't, but once you did, it was one of those things where you were like, this is the best shit ever, and oh my god, I get to fucking chainsaw people? Are you kidding me? Right? Like, I'm not worried, and I said it in chat here a second ago. I honestly hope they don't drop a single ounce of fucking campaign footage before they launch the game for the people that get to play early on on Game Pass or if you pre-ordered. It would make me so happy if we just play the game. Just play the fucking game. You don't need to see it. I mean, a part of the reason I think they're not dropping gameplay campaign footage is look at what happens on the internet now. I mean, you drop gameplay footage 3 months out or how many ever X amount of time out, and then it just gets eviscerated by internet whatever people. I don't want to just single out YouTubers, but Twitter, YouTube, editorials, reviews, all that. And then if you drop some small little section of what you showed 3 months ago from the game, you're going to get shit on because you left this little part out that everybody thought was going to be in the game. So instead of doing that, show the new like they did. They showed the new escape mode. Show what a lot. I mean, because they're pushing this esports thing with the the Gears esports. So they're showing a bunch of that. That's what they're doing on. Yeah. And I really feel like it's to me like Halo. Like I don't need to see campaign footage of Halo either because like I love Halo. I love Gears. They're both. I'm sold forever on those games unless they really shit the bed. I mean, it's going to take a lot. I know a lot of people are unhappy with like Halo 5, but to me it was great. But I'm not worried about campaign at all. Like it's going to be great. They're great storytellers. Rod Ferguson and the Coalition have a deep love for this series, and they don't want to fuck over their fans. And they're just not gonna. I mean, except for smoking, right?
We talked about that. We don't
like as long as it's going to be an engaging campaign. Like I don't know if it's going to be open world, like Cyber was just saying in chat, but I feel like it's going to be one of the biggest Gears games we've ever played. Like they've alluded to the fact that like it's going to be bigger than anything we've ever done. And it's going to be expansive. So I can't wait. Like, is it time yet?
Not time yet. It's right around the corner though, boy, for sure. So I know we're huge Gears fans here, man. So let's go ahead and move this over to Centurion. I know you did a whole video once again. I'm going to leave Centurion's YouTube video in the link, his YouTube channel, in the link. That way you guys can go check it out for yourself. Fantastic full breakdown of Gears 5 and his opinion on, what we're going to see, dispel some of those rumors potentially. This man comes with the facts for sure. So get it there. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. But Centurion, what do you think? I mean, as far as playing the tech test, did that change your opinion or influence anything you felt about the campaign?
Well, for starters, thanks for the shameless plug there, man. If you want some campaign information, just watch the last half of that video, and it will hopefully clear up what's going to but yeah, if you play the actual tech test, there's a character in there that we've never seen before. Dude wears a pair of sunglasses. He's actually, if I'm right, almost like in the role of a sniper class. I forget his name, though, but that's what I mean. There's all the main characters. You have Dom. Not Dom. Oh my God. You have Marcus, JD, the guy that you played in the boot camp. I forget all their names. I'm a fraud. But there was another guy in there. So they're obviously going to introduce a new main character that's probably going to kick it with JD a lot because I've actually seen him in some of the trailers right next to JD. So he's going to be there. Nice. But definitely, I'm with Stagger. Hopefully, maybe you guys are on the same page. I'm not trying to go on a rant, but let's look at all the BS and crap that's been going on. Like, people have been boo-hooing over gameplay videos. They've been boo-hooing over female protagonists because why does Kate have to be the main character? It's Phoenix or bust. And then also this whole cigarette smoking thing, there was a tweet out there from Rod Ferguson basically saying that he nipped cigarettes out of the Gears franchise in Gears 2. So it's been that long. All of a sudden, people have noticed. You know,
People
and
need shit to whine about.
not only that, man, but when Rod Ferguson tweeted out saying, "Hey guys, sorry the servers are having some issues. It is a tech test, but we're definitely working on it. And we're going to get things going on." People were bragging about how they blocked him because he was like some kind of an a-hole for tweeting out that the servers were broken. I thought that was customer service, but okay.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why if I was in Rod Ferguson's position, hell no, I would not give you guys, you know, gameplay or anything about the campaign. They, like, no offense, but the people that are doing this are causing it to where be like, he probably has a mentality of like, yeah, I don't want to get picked apart. There's a number of people out there that don't even deserve to see the gameplay / campaign footage. So they're going to get what I give them because this is just getting ridiculous. Like, this guy used to be like the creme de la creme of the Call of Duty franchise. And now all of a sudden he's like being like put out to the gallows.
Well, the thing is, it's always been a what have you done lately for me type of gaming climate, essentially. Because I mean, we know these things. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, it's years. There's certain things that you just you hear quality. You see quality. Like, you're gonna get quality. Now, I'm not saying that it's gonna be perfect. I'm not saying it may not even be for you, but I mean, as far as the campaign goes, we can't have both because we've continuously throughout the generation. Why are they showing gameplay early? Why are we seeing this gameplay? When we get the gameplay, why is this not in the actual game? Or why is this in a game? We already saw it. So with that type of criticism nowadays, and it's instant. You know, social media is so prevalent nowadays. Before he sits his ass in that seat, he has 50,000 messages about why he didn't do this and why this isn't done. So, I mean, from a developer standpoint, I can understand not giving out any of the campaign right now. I didn't even look at that as like a bad thing initially. I'm like, well, I mean, we're gonna get something. I know we're gonna get something at some point. I'm not necessarily worried about it. It's Gears. It's gonna work. It's gonna do what it does, especially with Rod Ferguson being at the helm. I mean, that guy is Gears, blood filled with Gears. So it is what
I
it
could
is.
ask one thing for you.
Yeah.
If that by some chance they do hold out till September to show campaign anything, how long do you think it's going to take for media websites to just basically comb through it as quickly as they can to jump to as many conclusions as they can before the game comes out?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, once again, we live in a day and age of social media, so you never know. And once again, that's just part of it, though. I mean, you get the good with the bad, but what I'm saying is, it's Gears, people. This is not some game, some brand new franchise. Like, these guys don't know what they're doing. This is the first time. This is not Call of Duty. We're not juggling a new Gears, a new studio doing Gears every year. We're not doing that. So we know what we're getting from this game. So I'm extremely excited. I hope that the Gears Tech Test, you guys are enjoying it. If you're not, once again, it just may not be for you, and that is okay. But I hope a lot of people that may have been on the fence about the game that are able to go play now are getting what they wanted from the game. So let's go ahead and move on to the final topic here, man. We've been running through, and we definitely got 10 minutes left, I think. But we're going to go ahead and keep it pushing through anyway, man, even if we run over a little bit. So the last thing I want to talk about was something that it was kind of low on the radar. I kind of picked it up. Sometimes I like to bring up topics that really nobody's talking about. Once again, I'm a huge Borderlands 3 fan. I'm a huge Borderlands fan in general. It is the godfather of this looter shit. Now, there's other games that loot shooter, but, Borderlands carved its own niche, and a lot of these other games, kind of piggybacked off Borderlands, and they still don't give you what Borderlands offers. So I wanted to talk about something interesting. It was kind of controversial, but only to people who play like Apex Legends, and it was the ping system that they're implementing. And obviously, the ping system is really good if you're not communicating with people. Randoms, you can kind of tell them what's going on, direct them to do certain things, and it works in those kind of co-op kind of games. So I wanted you guys to think of maybe a feature in a game that you'd like to see more often, something like a ping system. A lot of people were saying that, they stole it from Apex. We've seen that already. Get the fuck out of here. There were other games doing that prior to Apex. That's nothing new. You just never really seen it implemented in the way it was. But either way, we're going to start with you, Fuzzy. Is there any other feature in a game you can think of that you don't see enough of? You're like, man, I think that would be beneficial as a whole if other people used it or tried it. So I know this may be something you have to kind of think about, but what's your option, man?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, because I've been doing a lot of it in the Division, is basically re-rolling or what do you call it? I guess rolling. Well, re-rolling is about the best way to put it, where you can pretty much take other gear and take a talent or a perk or something like that from one piece of gear and put it on another. More games need things like that as far as if they're like a gear-based or RPG style game. I mean, you can't really do that in like even some of the single player games like Assassin's Creed, which would be nice if you could do something like that in Odyssey. But I understand that they have things that you can etch into the gearing, so it kind of works in that regard, even though it's not a re-roll, but you can etch stuff on it. But having it where you could take, like, let's say it's a lesser piece of gear, but it has a nice talent or perk, put it on like your newest piece of gear or newest weapon would be a nice, added feature to have in a lot more games these days.
Okay, cool, awesome. I think I like that feature as well. I mean, it works good for obviously looter shooters, things like that, because you got a lot going on and there's classes and all of that matters. So I think that's a cool feature too that they can implement going forward. So we're gonna move this over to you, Stag. Any feature that you can think of that you would like to see, used in some of these other games, or just one that you could think was pretty cool?
From Borderlands?
Not from Borderlands, just any game that you saw that that would be kind of cool. That would work in other games. Like that's a cool
something. Okay, so I made some notes on this, like me, but one thing that I see a problem with consistently because I play a lot of not only do I play a lot of indie games, but I love playing co-op games with my friends. It's my biggest thing to do more than multiplayer. I like playing with people. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest problems I have, and I'm going to point out Ghost Recon Wildlands on this one, is if I was playing, say, on my buddies, we usually played on his game save, which just for whatever reason, he would pick a mission, and I could see on the world map where we had to go. Like it would, the waypoint, but it wouldn't give me the blue line or whatever. Like if I was somewhere else on the map and I needed to fucking drive there, like how to get there, like it would for the person's game that it was their save. And I would like to see that more. Like it gives it to everybody in the game. And another thing that I would like to see is more games doing shared loot instead of making us fight over the loot when we're cooperatively playing a game together.
Yeah.
Those are the two things I'd like to see. Give me the roadmap to get to the point once the guy's made a fucking waypoint, and let us share the loot instead of fighting over the loot. So.
Okay, cool. All right. So what about you, Centurion? I'm sure you got some interesting game mechanic that I couldn't even think of probably, or wouldn't have thought of. So what do you think, man? Anything from a game you could think of that you would think as a whole, if they implemented on a larger scale, would be like beneficial to other game?
Oh man. That's a good question, because sometimes the mechanic is what makes a game stand out from the rest,
Yeah.
Like I'd have to agree with Stagger, being able to share the loot, because when you guys were running me through the Division 2, I kind of felt bad. You guys are not getting anything and you're giving me everything because you can't use it. I just, it's just like, well, thanks guys. I feel useless. But another thing that kind of stood out for me, like with other games, was the ping system in online multiplayer. I actually really enjoyed the ping system, especially in Apex.
it was great.
In Battlefield, the ping system only worked on other enemy characters or other players. In Apex, it worked on everything. Like you could, hey, look at that.
Gears was doing that too.
Yeah. Gears had a ping. Yeah, certain characters would actually ping. So I would actually have to say I'm actually kind of a big fan of the ping system. They I like it when people can communicate without having to have the headset, because people nowadays are so alienated to get on public chat.
Yeah,
where they're all these personal, private parties, which I don't blame them because of how toxic the environment can be. But by having those there to where you can interact with somebody without having to physically talk to them, that's one mechanic I like in a game, especially when you're playing with other people, is the ability to interact and communicate without directly having to talk to them.
Yeah, I think that's a cool feature too. I would agree with that one. As far as this generation, that's probably the most unique one. Obviously, it's not new, but I think that was so intuitive. It's something so simple, but you never see it, like implemented that way. It's something really simple. How do we get people that don't interact, that don't go in group chats, like random group chats anymore? How do we get them to work together in these games? Because the games they're built, a lot of these games to work together. But we're not getting the dialogue. We can't get people to fucking talk. So we got to figure out a way for these people to communicate, and allowing the character for you to just point shit out and, little gestures and little things other people can read and see is super dope, and it's super intuitive. but it's super, something like this really small. So I agree. I think that would be the feature. I think would stick out. I think a lot of other games, shooters especially, anything you're doing, anything co-op that requires strategy, absolutely, I think that feature needs to be made, as some kind of intuitive feature like it in that game, because it just adds so much to the game. It just makes so much sense from that standpoint. So I think we're gonna wrap it up there now. Yeah, I think we'll take one more question. Anybody want to go ahead and throw a question out in the chat before we wrap this thing up? Man, the show has been lit the entire time. The chat's been going so fast. I missed a bunch of shit you guys were actually talking about. So we're gonna take one more last question before we wrap up the entire show, guys. So the first person to throw a good question in the chat, we'll grab it and we'll talk about it. And we'll go ahead and get everything wrapped up. So let's see. Anybody besides you, Stagger? I know you. Stagger creeping in the chat over there. So let's see who has the next question for us. Did I miss any questions? Going back. So once again, chat, just let us know in the chat right now any question that we may have missed, something that you guys wanted to hear about or hear our take on it. Matter of fact, anything you guys, Centurion, Fuzz, Stag, can think about as well, just for to wrap the last question up. Salty paper or plastic. Obviously paper. My animal salty. What am I, an animal? It's ridiculous.
I wanted to goof off and put in the chat.
Plastic's really good for picking up dog poop.
That's true. Plastic is great for dog poop. Paper doesn't hold up. I tried it. Let's see. So shout out to Jago Coopin. He's always in here hanging out. So he has a great question. Damn, Shonsu's question is good too. Fuck. All right.
Do both of them.
We'll do both. They'll be quick. We'll do both. So Jago says, "What's the panel's most anticipated game in 2020?" Go ahead, rapid fire. Yep.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. That's pretty universal. That was an easy question. Appreciate that, Jago. So appreciate the question. So we're gonna move on to Shonsu. Favorite weapon in a video game. This is really interesting. Favorite weapon in a video game. So shit. Anybody got one?
I gotta look it up though. I can't remember.
Halo. Back in the day in Halo, man, the freaking sword. The minute you got that sword in Halo, man, you were a force to be reckoned with, especially if you were in tight quarters.
Okay.
Dubstep gun in Saints Row 3. Or was
what
it
is
Saints
it?
Row 4?
Oh, the dubstep. Oh. Okay.
It was just funny. It was a funny weapon. It was like, oh, just shoot them with music and they start dancing, then you can watch them explode. So it was just weird.
Okay.
Mine's the torque bow.
From Gears?
Oh yeah, I fucking love the torque bow.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the OG Halo 1 pistol, probably the greatest pistol in video game history. That thing had like tank bullets in it, dude. That was not a rare. I don't know what caliber that gun was, but that thing was a monster. And they tried to recreate it in the new Halos. It still hasn't been recreated to this day in a Halo. They still can't figure it out. It was good in ODST. That was probably the second best pistol, but it was nothing like Halo 1 pistol. And that thing was deadly, bro. So that would probably be my favorite overall weapon from the Halo franchise and just in general. So we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up, man. Once again, this chat was live. This is a great return show. I love doing this, man. I hate missing Fridays, man. So I appreciate you guys showing up, showing out. We're going to go ahead and go around the panel because I know these guys got other things going on. I'll make sure you guys subscribe to them. Go check out what they're doing. We're going to start with you, Stag. I know you're kind of rebuilding things up, but let everybody know where they can find you first and what you got going on.
Well, you can find me on mixer.com/Stagger. Made it nice and simple for you. Just streaming indie titles and working on my goddamn farm and farm together and just hanging out and having a good time chatting with you guys. That's all I'm here for, is just play games and chat, show some indie games. And, like he said, I'm rebuilding. So if you can go to my channel and drop a follow, I wouldn't hate you for it.
I feel like when you play that farm together, you're like vicariously living through like some kind of Colombian drug lord running your own farm.
Man, I want my weed plants. When are they going to?
Yeah, dude. I don't think that's going to be DLC, Stag.
No, I don't think so either, man. I don't think a man can always dream.
All of a sudden, the population shoots up like 80 times. Everybody's playing farm together and everything.
What would they call that? The California DLC package?
West Coast DLC.
West Coast.
The Emerald Triangle DLC.
Yeah.
Too much. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to follow that up with, man, besides the streaming, Mixer, Twitch, whatever?
No, man, I'm just glad we're back this week. Glad to be on again. It felt really good today, after a week off. And, getting back into the groove has been nice. It's been a tumultuous time for me for the last week or so, but it feels really good to get on here and shoot the shit with you guys and have a good time.
Nice. Appreciate you always hanging out with us every Saturday. Super consistent. Once again, guys, go follow him. Whatever he's doing, Stag is an amazing gamer, man. Follow him on social media, Twitch, whatever else he's doing. Please go follow him. If you follow me, please go do me a favor and do that for him as well. Centurion, man, you up next, bro. I told you the next guy. Once again, shout out to Zalker, shout out to Jarhead, man. The other official members of the Shop Podcast doing their thing as well. I know they creep on the show sometimes. Jarhead, Zalk, appreciate you guys so much. But Centurion, man, you the next guy, man. Appreciate you coming on, your consistency, your thoughtfulness, your intelligence here on information on the show. He's our facts guy. If I need anything factual, I hit Centurion up as far as news. Is this true? Is this not true? Okay, cool. I'm going with what you're saying. But either way, let everybody know what's going on with you, what's going on with the channel, man.
Well, I want to definitely thank you for letting me be part of this show, man. I have a blast. You know, basically, I want everybody to subscribe to you and Fuzzy, help with the road to 2,000. Also with Stagger, definitely with his channel issues on Mixer. Definitely, you know, everybody needs to go sub him. I actually tuned into his stream today, and I actually had fun. I was actually watching him more than I was actually trying to play my Xbox. But no, you could find me here on YouTube and on Twitter at Centurion1307. I'm also on a couple other shows like Salty's show on Thursday. The Saltiest Gaming Podcast on Thursdays. I'm here on Saturdays, and I also on BG4G Hub on Sundays. I love doing podcasts with everybody, so I'm just everywhere. But just in case anybody does want to see some of my work when can't find it on YouTube, I do run my own little blog called legionofgamer.com where I put a lot of my content and also hype individuals like yourselves on there, so that way people can also find you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's super dope too. He just showed me. You sent me a link, I think, of what you did as far as when you put everything up there, the podcast. It's amazing, guys. He puts a lot of time, a lot of hard work. I really appreciate everything he's doing on the website, man. Go ahead and plug that one more time, the website.
legionofgamer.com, and I am still adding more. I work so much I don't get to take care of it as much as I do, but yeah, I'm adding a whole bunch of other content creators. Like I still got to add Salty, but yeah, I got you guys on there first because you guys got me on a while ago.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate the consistency. Once again, go subscribe, check out what he's doing. The man is amazing, and hopefully he's the next up here. So Fuzzy, man, what's going on with you? Let everybody know what you got cooking up, Fuzz.
Well, greatly appreciate being on this show along with the panel. Man, great times. I'm probably going to be playing some Forza and some Division 2 and some of the Gears 5 tech tests for, part of the night and into tomorrow. But, yeah, you can always find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, PSN, Fuzzy_Belvedere, or Xbox Live, Fuzzy_Belvedere. Yeah, like I said, Forza, Division, and Gears, right, for at least this weekend and into the next weekend and whenever the tech test ends, and be looking forward to September when the game comes out. So
absolutely, man. Appreciate you, Fuzz. Once again, the OG member of the podcast here. We appreciate your consistency as well, man. And last but not least, the man with the plan, the host with the most, PTK Blam across the board, man. Follow me on Twitter as well. All of that information is in the link below. Once again, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys don't even know how much I appreciate you guys every single week showing up, showing out. The podcast just continues to grow, and I appreciate the retweets, every single like, every single favorite, every single thing, comment you guys make on the video as well afterwards. But I appreciate the continued support here, man. So thank you guys for that. I got a lot coming on down the pipeline. I'm definitely going to start doing some more weekly videos because I feel like the content, the podcast on Saturday is great, but I feel like I need to get back to you guys throughout the week as well because I feel like you guys like to hear from me then. So I'm going to definitely start doing that as well, taking time throughout the week to get back to those videos. But same time, same place next Saturday. Shop Podcast, one-stop shop for every gamer, no matter what you're playing. Appreciate you guys. We're out of here, though. See you next week.
Peace out, everybody. Take care of yourselves.